video has been in my mind for a while. Um, World of Warships. I've been playing this for something like 8 years now, and I've been through the carrier rework. I've been through dozens of commander reworks. I've quit the game for a long period of time. I've come back, and I wanted to talk about the sort of state of the game, specifically the state of obviously carriers. Now, carriers, they're not my thing. I don't do well in them. Um, they're very nearly an enigma to me. I don't understand how people can get 1,000 damage games in them. I can barely scratch 8,000. But nonetheless, carriers, it is largely agreed in the World of Warships community, are a cancer upon the very earth that they war with, under, on top of. Analogy kind of breaks down there. They're a scourge, and that's as intended. Um, lot bunch of people don't know this. People consider carriers to be the apex of everything. Um, the only reason why they're able to do what they do is because of their planes. The planes have a much greater range than any battleship gun could ever hope to achieve, and that fact allows them to do unspeakable things. And this is represented in World of Warships not through scale, but through concealment. If a carrier has the carrier has 13 kilometer concealment, it can sit at the back of the map, far away from where it will ever be reasonably detected, and which is effectively what carriers did in World War II. It's effectively what the U.S. military and the Navy want them to do even today. Um, Sit far away and let the planes do the work, right? The best way to not die is to not get shot at, which is why armor is not an issue with these ships. I mean, look at this belt. It's below the waterline, where it's uh, reasonably not gonna get shot, and then the real thin armor is above. So carriers don't get shot. That's that's the lesson learned here. Um and we see that in today's meta. We have all sorts of battleships that are long range sniping and making sure that they don't I'm clicking on all the wrong battleships here, but you get the point. They sit at the back of the map and they wait for good shots. Um, and they sit at the back of the map because they don't get shot. Their armor is more effective. they don't take as much damage as they would if they pushed in. And that's the thing, right? So the game is working as intended. The game is working as if it's real life. Even in real life, the Iowas here, their goal was to be long range snipers. The Montana, its goal would have been to be a long range sniper. Um, even the Yamato, it could fire shells well over the horizon, far past any of their detection equipment, which was basically optical rangefinders, could could see. They could fire at targets that they didn't even know existed. Um, and that's important. That's important to consider in World of Warships, because World of Warships, it's it's not the game that it used to be. Um, the meta has shifted over the years, and this is natural. It's natural outcome of what true strategy dictates. You don't want to get shot, and you want to be able to shoot at your enemies. If you get shot at, then you don't want to take the damage. So you sit at the back of the map, far enough away that you can dodge shells if you get shot at, far enough away that if you manage to get hit, your armor can take care of it, and you wait to shoot unsuspecting targets that don't realize they're going to be shot at until it's too late. And that irks absolutely everyone because it's not fun. It's sure, it's the tactic that wins. Sure, it's just the tactic that wins. Um, but people don't want to win. They want to have fun. And we often get those two mixed up because fun is different from winning, despite winning being fun. And admittedly, it's something that I have trouble with as well. But it's you want to have fun. And when you're sitting at the back of the map doing nothing but firing at targets that mostly dodge you because you're so far away, it gets boring. It gets boring. It really does. And carriers, I would argue, don't they don't help, but they also don't stop that. You have all sorts of damage farmers like the Smolensk, um, Worcester, even the Des Moines, and the Des Moines is an old one. You got the Austin now, the Nevsky, Smolensk. All these ships that cause fires that are devastating. You don't want to be in range of any of these things. Mogami, Kitakazi, Harugamo. All Cleveland, even Baltimore. Excuse me. Buffalo. You don't want to be in any of the any. You don't want to be against any of these ships. Because they're so maneuverable that you can't get shells on target, especially in American battleships with the shell hang time so high. But they're you they're so small, so maneuverable. They often have firing arcs that allow them to hide behind the tallest of mountains in some cases. Many of them have smoke screens, like the Minotaur, even though the Minotaur doesn't smoke. The Smolensk has a smoke screen. It's it's tough out there for a battleship even without carriers. If anything, carriers are the counter to the battleship's tactic of staying away from this fucking thing. You don't want to be near this thing. Its main job is to kill destroyers, but look at its equipment. It doesn't have anything that can detect destroyers. It's not going to be shooting at destroyers. It's going to be shooting at what's in range, what's detected, and even more than that, perhaps, the thing that it can easily hit, which is a slow, lumbering, large battleship. And many of these battleships are not slow. The Montana goes 30 knots. Yamato 29, or 29, 27, around that. Kurfürst 30. I mean, they're not slow per se. They can keep up with the battle, but uh, they're large, and that's the main thing. Ships like the Kurfürst or the Preußen, they're they're massive. Even the Montana, which is a relatively small battleship in comparison, is well outmatched the Yamato, the largest battleship ever built. Shikushima, they all have the weakness, and it doesn't get better. Fires do a percentage of damage for as long as they burn. And perhaps fire damage should be nerfed. Perhaps it shouldn't do a percentage damage. Perhaps certain shell types, or rather caliber of shells, should not have less of a chance to spawn a fire, but should have a fire that does less damage instead. Who knows? But that's the real problem, is all of these ships, including DDs, that just farm battleships for damage. And carriers, they don't help, but they also don't really make it better. And I think that they get a lot of hate, including from myself, by the way. I've had, the main reason why I quit for a few years, by the way, a few years, was because I didn't like carriers at all. And over time, the more that I've learned about carriers, the more I think, okay, this is a reasonable historical interpretation. The carrier rework, uh, um, those things before the rework were insane. You're talking about dealing all the damage to a battleship at the very beginning of the game when no one thought, oh, oh shit, a carrier's here. Um, you found a battleship or any other ship alone, and it was real easy to kill them. And I wasn't really good at that either. But you see the clips. You see the old videos. You can go back on YouTube and find them. It happened, and that was OP as all hell. But at least you had countermeasures. And this is where the my old reasoning comes into play, because you really don't have any countermeasures now. DFAA doesn't do shit. You get continuous damage, and on the Laffy, that's really, it's imperative that you get it. It puts you on par with the highest damage dealing ships in the game. In terms of AA being the Holland and the various other ships that give you AA, but it doesn't do much. The carriers never run out of planes. They can continue harassing you forever and ever, and you have no counterplay. The best you can really hope for and rely on is that carriers don't really do all that much damage anymore. They simply don't. And if you're not able to take out the first attack flight, well, at the very least, you prevent them from going after you again with the same fucking attack aircraft squadron, and you get a minute 30 seconds of respite before they come at you again. And that's one of the main reasons why people don't like it. And I do think that they should add back in the old DFAA system. Make it useful again. Make it, because you have a lot more control over your aircraft now. DFAA fires, there are plenty of tactics that you can use. Plenty of tactics that you can use. Tactics that are old. by the way, um, you can take your most useless attack flight, and you have more control over it now because you can fire off 1, 2 sets of, let's say, rockets, and you can go over to a Laffy or a Des Moines or a Worcester and say, "Hey, I'm here, shoot me down. I don't give a damn if you shoot me down." DFAA goes up, you realize DFAA goes up, you press F, maybe your planes go down, maybe they get back up into the stratosphere and come back to the carrier, who knows? But then you can take your torpedo bombers out, or your dive bombers out, or another attack flight, full attack flight, because of what you did to ensure that you didn't get as many planes shot down of rockets. And then you go after the Laffy or the Worcester or whatever it is again in a minute. It really it really wouldn't affect carriers that much. It would make AA cruisers a hell of a lot more important once again. And it would give you that counterplay that everyone fucking wants. Um oh, another little tidbit of gameplay that was gotten rid of was well, let's go to our Poison and let's recall our commander. We don't have it on this guy because Poison is Poison, but this skill, it allows you to control, hover, and control click whatever target you have, and you deal more damage because you fire more accurately. You used to be able to do this with AA. If an AA skill allowed you to do that, you would get even more counterplay. It's that simple. I mean, I don't know why they haven't done this. They seem to think that people who play carriers are stupid dumbasses who want to play the easiest type of game style and have fun winning, I suppose. Excuse me. But if this skill allowed you to do the same thing, that would be a game changer. Maybe you attach DFAA to it. DFAA is only useful with a certain skill. And oh, here's another idea. Maybe you split those two mechanics off into two different skills, so you have to choose. Because there are plenty. You see it with my poison build here. Plenty of trade-offs. Plenty of fucking trade-offs here. Like, yeah, I would like manual secondary batteries, but in random battles, And trust me, you don't want to be playing the Poison in ranked. But in random battles, your accuracy is fucked. Your detection is fucked. No matter what, you're going to have a shit detection. You want to be able to survive for as long as possible, so you choose this skill. But your fire rate is decent. Maybe you can get that down to battlecruiser fire rate, and then your accuracy won't matter as much because you shoot a crap ton of things at the wall. And you don't really want manual secondaries because in randoms things don't tend to stay within your secondary range. Things don't even tend to get within that range because of the meta. Um, so Person is better suited to getting into contact with ships like the Smolensk, getting a couple fires, and then skedaddling. All while it gets buffs to its reload time and so on. But this is that's kind of besides the point. Carriers undue get undue hate, and ships like the Worcester don't get enough. They simply don't get enough, and man, I don't know if it's actually a problem. I mean, something that I would say is a problem. Absolutely is a problem. Citadel hits from battleships. Those should be fucking crippling. Like, I'm talking you take a Citadel hit from a Montana and what happens? Right? You take some damage, you say ow, you get damage control or damage repair underway, you turn and you get the fuck out of there. Or you get behind an island. More likely, you're gonna be reversing back behind the island that you accidentally popped out of way too much, and the Montana decided that's a great target to shoot at. I'll shoot at him. Citadel hits should leave you dead in the damn water. They should be absolutely crippling. Skills like this should be mandatory. You shouldn't be able to do this. Torpedo hits shouldn't be the only thing that take out your steering and your propulsion. Citadel hits should take out your propulsion. After all, the Citadel is, in fact, where all of those engineering spaces, and when I say engineering spaces, what I really mean is the spaces where the engines are. You get Citadel, that's the entire point behind the damage. You get Citadel, you take damage to your machinery spaces, right? That's crippling damage, right? Your health bar goes from full to this, right? Maybe even you completely die. Right? Why are your machinery spaces not being taken out? I simply just don't understand it. If you're out in the open and you're gunboating, like say you decided to do the insane gunboat Des Moines. It's an old meme. You get this rudder shift time, you try to max out your range as best as possible, you get this. No, that's for traverse speed. Battery firing range. You can't increase your range? No. Nope. That's it. You switch over to this. Maybe you get some skills that increase your range. No, no, there aren't really any skills that increase your range. Not as a cruiser. So, you choose this, and you have this. All you really do all game is fire and. Oh, you would want to go for a lighthouse build. You would want to use this and all the other things that give you insane detection range so that you can increase this. Or was it this? Yeah, it was this. Ooh, and you even get ship speed, maximum main battery shield dispersion. Yeah, that's outnumbered for you. So you do that, and you basically just use your spotter aircraft throughout the entire game. But then you get citadeled. You're open water. Now, because you didn't plan for it, you're dead in the water. Unless you have your damage con. It would make counterplay so much simpler. I mean, just that addition. I mean, imagine this. So, Smolensk. It's sitting, it just smokes up. You see it fire. It's. You get your reticle on target, you fire. Now, it's got thin armor, so maybe you don't citadel, but let's say you do. You fire, shells come in roughly this angle, they go into this part of the deck, it's relatively flat. They go through the longest portion, they fuse right about here, they detonate into the citadel. Smolensk is now dead in the water. You don't have to move your reticle. You just follow the shell tracers, keep your reticle in the same spot, fire again. You've got all these maneuverability tactics, these propulsion modifications, these ships that get Minotaur maneuverability, like the the Des Moines, the Minotaur, or the Henry, which I don't have. It's a cancerous ship. Uh, and they're all damage farmers. It would make so much more sense for them to kindly shut up and learn when not to fire at you. Because if you get that lucky hit in, you get a Citadel. Oh, lordy, lordy, lordy. Even if a Shimakaze, let's say, pops up, let's say it's a Henry, long all the way at the back of the goddamn map, it's sitting stationary, waiting. Just waiting for a battleship to fire at it. It's got a lighthouse build. It's firing constantly. Just shells after shells after shells, salvo after salvo after salvo. It's lighting all of these battleships up. It's dealing damage to them that they can't do nothing about because as soon as they fire at the damn thing, it moves forward. Just a hair. And then it stops again. Shells land behind it. The battleships try to account for that again. But maybe their accuracy is off. Or maybe it's because the Henry went backwards this time. And all the while, he just continues fucking firing. There's no way to deal with that. But let's say Shimakaze loads AP, gets within range, charges that motherfucker. It gets a Citadel. Now the game changes. He's either got a damage con on it and risks taking another Citadel from the Shimakaze's relatively fast firing guns, or he's got to deal with the fact that he has or hasn't taken the last stand skill and is now fighting for his life against Shimakaze. Now his movements are slow. His movements are predictable. Because he's fighting a Shimakaze, of course, is going to turn away from the damn thing. And I'm using, by the way, the Shimakaze as an example because it's not even that strong of a gunboat. It's pretty much the worst gunboat the game has to offer. It's a torpedo boat. But even the Shimakaze can cause that much panic if you just allow Citadels to do something. They don't do enough. When was the last time you ever got your engine knocked out? Maybe when you took a torpedo to the belt? Did you ever think about when you had to repair your engine? I don't remember the last time that I had to repair my engine from something that was not a torpedo. And maybe I'm wrong, but I seem to remember Citadels doing a whole lot more. Huh. Interesting, right? They get rid of that mechanic, and suddenly cruisers become a major problem, right? Anyway, those are just my ramblings of the state of the game. Ugh. Why? Why you? Well, hold on. Let me correct something here. You get your engine taken out all the time as a DD. Why? Because cruisers are always shooting HE at you. So last time I got Citadels and got my engine taken out, the last time I got Citadel with HE. Only happens in carriers and DDs. You just don't get Citadel with HE. AP should cause it as well when you Citadel. Not if you hit. Just, normal hit, average damage. But when you Citadel, certainly, it should. You should be forced to damage con in order to get away. You shouldn't only be required to just heal whatever damage you can heal after you get Citadel. Cruisers would be... Alright, the larger point that I wanted to get into with this discussion was that battleship shells should absolutely be crippling. That's a hell of a lot more realistic. Historically, battleships would fight battleships. Cruisers would fight cruisers. They would all choose their own little lines their own little battle lines if they could, and maybe the torpedo boats would say, "Ooh, look, that battle line is distracted. Let's go see if we can go make a torpedo run." And then they would take their line of their line of destroyers, and they would run it against the line of battleships, and they would cause the line of battleships to go into disarray. And it wasn't just battleships, it was cruisers, it was other torpedo boats. But that would be a more realistic interpretation, because battleships, if they fired at there are countless battles where we see it happen. Battleship fires at a cruiser, something that can't take the large shell of the battleship. It doesn't have the armor. It gets wrecked. Like, crippling damage. Literal crippling damage. Grafspee. Battle of the River Plate. Let's see. German, Britain, cruisers. Okay, so the Grafspee fights against the Exeter, and I don't have it. Let's go. Okay. Perth. Good enough. 2 Leander class cruisers. The Exeter go up against the Graf Spee. In World of Warships, the Graf Spee doesn't have the accuracy to take them all out. Real life, the Graf Spee only got bested because it was a diesel ship. It had a fuel refinery in here so that it could convert crude into diesel. And a very, very lucky Exeter kit got through the armor and hit that part. You could call it the Citadel. That one hit crippled the Graf Spee. And then we look at the Exeter. The Exeter was the ship that took most of the fire. Practically all of its turrets got knocked out, damaged permanently. In World of Warships, it would have been the equivalent of your HP bar being at 1 and you're still fighting. All you need is 1 HP, right? The Exeter nearly got sunk. Very nearly got sunk. There's no question about that. And if it had gotten sunk, then the Graf Spee would have been able to turn on the 2 Leanders. Now, 32.5, 28.5. We can increase that to 29.9, but then the Perth can also increase it to 34.1. So, if, I should probably be looking this up, but based on World of Warships, Leanders can just run away. Graf Spee can't really do much about it. The most that the Graf Spee can hope for is that it runs into a storm and loses the 2 Leanders in it. That's the best that I can hope for. But it goes to show, look that battle up, find a YouTube video, do whatever you like doing. Look that up. That battle is a prime example of how armor works and how big guns can be absolutely devastating to a more lightly armed ship. Armored ship. Perfect example, textbook. And then even before that, let's see, I believe the Indefatigable was part of the battle. It was two battles of the German Pacific Squadron in World War II. They went around the the I don't know what it's called, the Cape of Argentina. Um, they were running out of fuel. They decided to go get fuel at the Falkland Islands. They were going to raid it. I believe it was the Indefatigable and maybe another one, but these were not cruisers. They were essentially the same as the Grashpe. But the Indefatigable was meant to kill ships like that. Um, Heavy cruisers, armored cruisers. It was meant to chase them down and kill them. The ships in that battle couldn't do crap against the Indefatigable. Even the fires that were set, easily taken out, easily taken care of. Didn't do much damage. Indefatigable sunk those cruisers mercilessly. Maybe it was her sister ship. I don't really remember, so take that as a caveat. Look it up. I think it Battle of the Falkland Islands, maybe. It's an interesting one. It's an interesting one to say the least. But that goes to show my point that Citadel hits large guns such as these should be a hell of a lot more crippling. A hell of a lot more crippling. I think that would probably solve a whole lot of issues in the game. I don't think that it would solve all of them. I think it would solve some of them. I think that the game would be a hell of a lot more enjoyable to play because now your shells don't just do superficial damage, but it actually has an impact on the battle capabilities of those ships that you're fighting. It makes them think twice about firing in open water. Makes them think twice about farming you. Because now you're not just doing damage to them. It's a lot more dangerous for them. But those are my thoughts. Those are just my thoughts, my opinions. I hope that this reaches a larger audience. I realize that I've just been talking and rambling, and I'm sorry about that, but I hope that you're interested in this and that you can add to the discussion. And I hope that Wargaming can listen. I hope that they can do an AP rework or an HE rework a fire rework more specifically would be awesome. Um, Battleships, it would encourage battleships to do battleship things. Um, to go in there, get in there, take the damage. Um, and another thing, historically, it wasn't really the cruisers that were the AA platforms. It was the battleships. AA like Vermont should be more prevalent in the American tree at the very least. Um, let me show you my build here. You can tell that I hate carriers. I hate carriers. Um, but if you had AA like the Vermonts, I mean, it doesn't. You don't even need good AA. You just need to say, alright, carrier, screw off, please. Just make defensive fire great again. You know, just make DFAA something that actually works that as a deterrent. You don't need it to do immense amounts of damage. Damage to aircraft doesn't even really affect anything anyway, because aircraft, well, guess what? Aircraft regenerate. Somehow, somehow, they have an entire damn factory beneath their decks, right? So, just say, alright, your spread is not going to be accurate no matter what you do if DFAA is active. So, move along. You're not going to do very much damage against me. That's literally all you need to do. All you need to do. Nothing else. But yeah, I'll. This has been going on for an hour. I'm gonna stop rambling. Have a nice day. Uh, hope that I see more people in the future.